feelings. It's like I can't walk on the ceiling. Oh yeah, got me dreaming, dreaming in colors I never dreamed in. Oh yeah, I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Filling up with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, magic. No, I'm never letting go. Now that I've been with you, when you kiss me, it's like the stars fall out the sky onto my heart to cover up what I don't wanna show. I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Filling up with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, yeah, you take me higher, baby.
Welcome to Radical Truth to Power, the progressive news show with Let's BS Real. I am your host, Maul, along with Diaz. And today will be the final day of the explaining systemic racism. This is series 4. So this will be the final show for systemic racism. And starting next week, we'll move on to something brand new. We also got a full second hour, Am I the A-hole, real or non-positive story, Mafia video of the week, and Foxy's videos of the week. So, how's everything going, Theus?
Everything's going pretty good. I really can't complain. Good day. Good day. How about you?
Yeah, pretty good. I got some work done. I got some videos broken down all the way into mid-Wednesday. I knew not a lot of people was going to watch the show live. You know, we're going up against the Super Bowl, so just give me the content to break down so the trolls will have something to feed off of after they come off their hangover from watching the game. So if you don't have anything, without further ado, let's get this party started. So let's go back a little bit. So we already gave you the 6 symptoms of systemic racism, and let's go ahead and take a little history lesson. Let's go back and see from very beginning of how the past is dictating what's going on now in the present.
So what caused these 6 examples of systemic racism? The momentum of history. In the early years of the United States, millions of African Americans were enslaved. Even those who were, quote, free, were heavily discriminated against. Many forget that Europeans initially enslaved Native Americans. At least hundreds of thousands were driven off their lands. Tens of thousands died in wars and massacres. After slavery ended, governments across the country passed laws that treated African Americans as second-class citizens, stripping them of the same opportunities others had. Meanwhile, the United States government forced Native Americans onto mainly communal reservations. Individuals rarely had property rights. They couldn't own land. This eventually made it difficult for them to establish credit and borrow money. While the Dawes Act of 1887 let most Native Americans own property, it also gave away nearly 2/3 of all Native American land. Holy crap! And allowed rich developers to buy most of the most productive land. Not only that, developers often tricked many Native Americans into selling their land, leaving many of them homeless. The Dawes Act also caused many tribes to lose their culture by shipping their children to boarding schools. Oh, and Native Americans couldn't vote. Even after the passage of the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924, whites prevented Native Americans from voting in other sneaky ways. African Americans could vote, but they often first had to jump through some hoops to do so. They had to pay poll taxes, take ridiculously difficult tests, or face intimidation from white supremacist groups like the Ku Klux Klan. Because of this, no African Americans served in Congress between the years 1901 to 1928, despite being between 10 to 12% of the total population at the time. That was also the time when the majority of Confederate statues went up, by the way. A pretty horrific time to be a person of color in America. And that's also when racial violence peaked. Race riots, most infamously the Tulsa Race Massacre. Thousands of African Americans got lynched. Typically how it went down was something bad would happen to a white person, a black person, usually a black man, would get blamed, a mob would kidnap the person blamed, and finally publicly execute them. If you never learned any of this in school, this is the part of the video where you probably just need to stop and ask yourself, why?
Hey, Tracy.
Hello, Tracy. Let me address that very last part, what he was talking about. This also goes with why I don't comment back to the people that makes comments on our videos. You was never taught these things. And even if you were taught a few of these things, you dismissed it as either unfounded or flat out untrue. We're talking about a group of European people who went to another person's land and either tricked them into selling it, stole it, or killed them for it. Then went to another country, grabbed those people to come and physically or intimidation or whatever you have it, work on this stolen land to build up their wealth. After that, once these people who were stolen or threatened to come to the land was freed, you treat them second class. You didn't keep a promise to 40 acres and a mule. I'm so dumbfounded that this history is something that people can look back on and with a straight face say, no, it's not true. And if it is true, you never lived through it. I'm sorry that I have empathy for my people. You didn't live through Christopher Columbus, but you still celebrate Christopher Columbus. So I'm just dumbfounded by some of the comments, and not dumbfounded as being mad, dumbfounded as I just can't believe your intelligence or lack thereof. But what you got, this?
Nothing. These people are beneath me, so I'm not going to worry about them. So when I'm talking to people who actually care or are interested in being informed or just exploring a topic. So there are, black people who think some of this stuff didn't happen. There's white people who don't think some of this stuff happened. I'm not talking to them. So you can talk to them. Trace can talk to them. Anybody else can talk to them. I ain't talking to them. So I don't care what they agree with or what they didn't learn or any of that. Okay. I'm not going to try to convince someone else of my lived experience or my people's history. That's and the fun part is in talking about my people's history, I'm talking about their people's history. So, you know, whatever. So it's like when I'm talking, anybody who wants to hear what I'm saying, as they say, let them eat. But the people you talking about, I ain't worried about them.
All right, Tracy.
Ditto to what Thea said. Some people you just can't waste conversation on.
Nope. All right. Let's go ahead and get a little deeper now. And Diaz did and I know you probably done threw that piece of paper away a long time ago when you did the whole generational housing and generational wealth thing.
Oh, time value of money type thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
but
I threw that away. I ain't got that.
It was a great piece, though. It was a great piece. But let's go ahead and get into housing and generational wealth.
Then there was redlining. See the areas on this map highlighted in red? Those were the, quote, risky homes. Banks didn't loan money to the folks in those homes. Insurance companies charged ridiculously high interest rates to the folks in those homes. The folks in those homes tended to be, you guessed it, black. Developers used eminent domain, or the government taking private property for public use, to kick blacks out of their homes. One big example of this was the federal government building interstate highways and splitting black neighborhoods. Most of the laws discriminating against African Americans enforced racial segregation, establishing separate institutions, places, and services for blacks and whites. The United States Supreme Court even upheld racial segregation in the case Plessy v. Ferguson, so long as those institutions, places, and services were, quote, separate but equal. Well, spoiler alert, they were not. 58 years later, the Supreme Court redeemed itself by ruling that racial segregation was, quote, inherently unequal in the famous decision Brown versus the Board of Education. The Brown decision was part of the much bigger civil rights movement, which I mentioned earlier. In addition to desegregation, the civil rights movement saw laws getting rid of all discrimination and obstacles to voting for people of color. Heck, there was even a law that mostly got rid of housing discrimination. Double heck! All of the major reforms of the 1960s and 1970s saw progress not just for African Americans and Native Americans, but additionally Hispanics, Latinos, women, those with disabilities, and even homosexuals. And they all lived happily ever after. Except that they didn't. While most people of color have made tremendous progress in recent decades, overall they still can't seem to escape the momentum of the past. Plus, while the laws and courts were mostly on the side of people of color, racists found ways around the laws and courts to still make people of color second-class citizens.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Anna.
Hey, how are you doing, Anna?
Yeah.
Pretty good. Excuse my tardiness. Had a family dinner around the
Oh, no, good to see you. So I don't know where the Marlin has gone, but so talking about the momentum of history as the way the speaker put it. The best way I found to help people is oftentimes when we talk about money, because that seems to be the common language that everyone is willing to speak. Because if we talk about events and how this impacted this person or that group, then they basically say you're whining or something like that, right? But money, okay. So there's a concept called the time value of money. For those of you who ride with me on our United Core, we will explore this much more as far as just trying to work through math and how numbers work. But time value of money is basically showing you how compounding interest works. Compounding interest is what kind of is a principle that moves behind why your house appreciates in value. Okay, so your house, you buy it for $100,000. Here's the thing about that: you didn't buy the house for $100,000. You're buying the house and the land it sits on, right? Because houses, we can make a house anytime. Realistically, your house ain't worth much, okay? Because also, the more you customize it, the less marketable it becomes to someone else anyway. But that dirt that it sits on, that's a finite resource. There's only so much going out, and you're just trading on the secondary market at this point, right? You're waiting for someone to die, someone to move, whatever, so you can then buy that house at its current value and hope that its value continue to go up, which it will historically, because the earth isn't making more land. Hey, Parker. So one of the ways I try to bring this in is like things that we can establish as a fact, right? We can establish that chattel slavery happened. Like, that's a fact. We get lost in the weeds debating the facts around the facts about what was the treatment like, what was the experience, and all, you know. But slavery happened. Okay, well, what were some of the consequences of slavery? As was pointed out in the video, couldn't own anything, right? You know, property doesn't own property, generally speaking, right? So you were deprived of your humanity, therefore you couldn't own anything. So that means the foundation of America, think of it as all the land is available. Unfortunately, it's not really, because the indigenous people are already living on it. So what do you first have to do? You have to declare them to be subhuman, right? You call them savages, and you say that they have no culture, so that now you can say that you are fulfilling some divine edict from your God that says this land is yours, go and conquer all that's on it and take it, right? We know the stories, unfortunately, whatever. So they come in, and it's a free-for-all for white people, because they're the only ones allowed to own land. White men, only ones allowed to own land. And I'm saying white men because they're the ones who could contractually own land, but I'm not giving white women a pass, because y'all sat right next to his ass and inherited every last bit of that wealth and every last bit of that privilege. In fact, you had more privilege than the white man because you were his prized possession. So even though you didn't have authority, you got a lot of lavishment. All right, you were the most protected. The white woman is the most protected person to this day in the nation. But anyway, that's a different subject. So that means the first people to own land, you get everything that's on that land. Those are trees, that's mineral resources, that's oil, that's anything that's tied to it, you get to have. And only you get to have it. No one else is allowed to own anything. Native Americans can't own anything, black people can't own anything, nobody can own anything but you. So that means you get all that wealth. Now, that wealth is going to grow over time, as we were just covering. So that's where a lot of, when he was saying the momentum of history kicks in. When you've had 300, 400 years to secure the mineral wealth, the physical wealth, and the physical rights to land, that's a lot of increasing of value that you get to have. By the time Black people, Native Americans, and others are able to own land, we are having to buy land that you're willing to sell us. And we're having to buy it at the higher rate of the current market. And you're not going to sell the best of it. You're going to sell the residential land. You're not going to sell the mineral land. In fact, another part of the story, they write treaties to the indigenous Americans and they give them land that they said was worthless. And it was, oh, this is your ceremonial land? Fine, go there, and push all of them off into what was considered worthless land until technology caught up with it and realized, wait a minute, there's mineral wealth here. So then they violate all the treaties, steal the land, and push the indigenous people even further into nowhere. So that is the story of America and how wealth accumulates here. So it's oftentimes people who will push back against you about, well, things are better now, or they'll give you that dumb thing about black people in America are doing better than black people in Africa type garbage. Don't believe that shit. I'm sorry, guys. I don't believe that. they're distorting the narrative to try to get you where they want you to go, because the value is the value is the value, and somebody got to inherit all that. And then last piece, you'll have people who say, well, my family didn't own slaves. My family doesn't have a lot. We don't have all this land you're talking about. Well, if you track it back, a lot of times you don't have a lot. You don't have the land because someone in your family history sold it. It's not because you didn't have it. Someone back here cashed in and sold it, so it didn't continue to move down the bloodline. That's part of the reality. Or someone back here in your family history decided to hold it all for themselves and not share it, so it ended up getting choked off and staying with one particular part of the family, and the rest of the family was left destitute. That's not the same thing. So I just think that's important to point out too. But that's it.
Wait a minute.
All right, let's move on to part two. Sorry, Tracy. Let me move on to part two of the housing and generational wealth. And when we come back, it'll be completely up to the ladies to discuss.
Then there was redlining. See the areas on this map?
Never mind. So, thought there was a part two to it. Maybe it wasn't. So anyway, go ahead, Tracy. Sorry.
So, Thea, you mean to tell me that the holy, God-fearing United States of America went back on their word? I'm having a hard time believing this, because anytime America says something, we're always good for it. I mean, sure, we got to this country and the Pilgrims massacred the indigenous people, but I mean, they were in the way. They were simply in the way. And sure, we went to a whole continent.
That's not what I was told. I was told that
sure.
they came over here and had the first Thanksgiving. And they
that's it. But then the Native America, you're right, the indigenous people betrayed them, so that they had to kill them. And then we went down to Africa and kidnapped the engineers, the architects, the teachers, the people that wrote the first language, brought them over here, of course, all against their will, then made it hard for us to own houses. I cannot believe that America, not America. If you had said Canada, if you had said Mexico, if you had said France, I would have believed it. But not the United States of America. No way do I believe this. No way.
Yeah, and that's exactly the noise that happens in some people's heads when you go at it, like, because they think, well, we all wore the little paper hats and pretended to be pilgrims. Well, I hate that my parents were not educated in this enough to know not to let their black child play no damn pilgrim in elementary school. But we did that, right? And it's like, we had Thanksgiving dinner. Didn't say that as a consequence of Thanksgiving dinner. It was really a ruse by the Europeans to pass out more disease-ridden blankets and murder more people. And then Pocahontas' story that they make seem so nice, as opposed to the rape of a minor. So it's like there's a lot of things that they give us a version. Everything is cleaned up and put together for the purpose of propaganda. And I'm saying propaganda in its just its most pure form, right? Because it's neither good nor bad. Every major nation involves itself in propaganda. If it didn't involve itself in propaganda and try to build up a national identity and national love and zeal for your nation, then they'd be taken over by everybody and anybody around them because there would be no attachment to this thing, right? So every nation does it, whatever. But it's the importance is that shouldn't be happening in the unchecked way that it does, right? So you're not giving people their history so that they can make informed decisions. You're giving them fairy tales so that they can be attached to something emotionally. And I get it. Emotion is the best way to sell something, and that's why they do it, you know. And I do want to say a couple things. So whatever your faith walk is, everybody out there, it's your faith walk. I just encourage everyone to always challenge what you believe so that you understand it in its fullness and not just the pieces you want to. Religion itself has been weaponized since the beginning. So it wasn't all. So there's always been the faithful, and then there've been the faithless. Both take the faith and use it. Okay. So with slavery, that right there was greenlit by the Pope. They had to get permission from the Pope before they went to the Ivory Coast and started kidnapping Africans. And then you'll hear from the racists and the racialists and the bigots. Well, weren't the Africans selling their own people? Didn't the Africans have slavery? There's slavery all around the world. There's always been slavery. Yes, there's always been slavery in the world. But the European chattel slavery was an entirely new invention as far as how slavery was done. See, typically slavery is done within groups. Europeans enslaved Europeans, Africans enslaved Africans, all those things. But there were pathways out. You were enslaved for a certain period of time,
and
then you were released. You had to take on certain skills and fulfill certain purposes, and then you were released. Right? It was not your property. And then if you have a child, that child is also my property. And I'm not sure where it is in the Bible, but that's in there, right? Where the child of the mother and the mother of the child and everybody they tied to the woman. But that, I don't know if that was an edited piece because, you know, people would play games with the text to justify what they wanted to justify. But the spirit of the faith says one thing, but the practice says something different. So I just want to point that out so people don't just think that people just randomly were going to Africa and taking people. No, Pope said go get them from over here, and that's where they went to go get them.
I'm still having a hard time believing that a country as righteous and pure as the United States of America would say to somebody that looks like me, hey, we're going to make it hard for you to get a loan. Then just tap the little bank on his hand and say, poo, you got to pay a fine. And then they don't get their charter stripped from them. But hey,
well, I mean, think about it this way. It is horrible analogy, but it's the best one I can come up at the moment. All right. Let's say you're a farmer and you have horses. And that's just the way it's always been. And then one day the horses say, no, you've been calling me a horse, but I'm a person. And so you are now forced to call this, what you used to call a horse, a person. That did not come because you had an epiphany. It's something that someone is forcing you to now say. Then the horse, even what you used to call a horse, is now saying not only that, I am your equal. The dissonance that's going to be happening here, right? So there is a level of resentment that these people, Black people, Indian people, Native American people, that they have the audacity to consider themselves an equal, having not been equals in the past. And that umbrage carries forward. So yes, this country, and then it's like Yo, this is wild to me. This is so wild to me. To show you how the ideology is an ideology and a cultural bend that stays with people. So it doesn't matter if they live or die. There's always going to be another grouping that comes behind them to pick up the mantle and run with it. Right now, we have a person who is the front runner for the presidency of the United States. And part of his platform is he is going to build concentration camps for people who come into the country illegally because he views them as enemies of the state. He has already called them enemies of the state. He always says that they are doing an invasion. They want to actually enact the Invasion Protection Act, right? That's what they're trying to do. Now, if you don't know your history, you'll say that this is a new thing and they're just trying to combat the border crisis and whatever. And yeah, it's a little racist, but it can't be perfect. I ask you to look backwards at World War II when they decided to round up anybody who looked like they were Asian and lock them in concentration camps. That was America too, right? You go back to convict leasing. If they were black and they looked like they didn't have a job, meaning they weren't enslaved to someone, we're gonna put them in a concentration camp, aka prison. So it's like this is the nature of this country. And when we don't know your history, you really it comes back and you don't recognize it for what it is. America does slavery. America does concentration camps. America does genocide. That's what America does. There's some of the things does. There's some other good things too, but does those horrible things.
All right, Anna.
Can I add that for all the European descendants out there that you think your family had nothing to do with slavery, that nobody in your family owned, I have a bet for you.
I think that's Alicia Keys.
Sorry, Marlon. Okay, sorry.
That should have been muted. So sorry.
Okay. I'm like, wait a minute.
I was very confused.
Tracy, you're muted. We can't hear you.
He gonna tell me to mute my TV and he up there soon? Okay.
So sorry.
Okay, so I have done a lot of genealogy research in the past 12 years. And every single person that came to me saying, not my family, I was able to find within 4 steps. So that is, you go to a parent, you go to either an uncle, you go down to a cousin, and maybe even another generation. Within those 4 steps, I can find those people who own people in your family. I bet you. I can find them. I thought the same thing about my own family. No. That is a fallacy that unless you have come after slavery was commuted down to prison sentences and that you came through Ellis Island in the 1900s, then you can safely say, my ancestors did not own people on this land.
Perhaps. So, excellent point raised. So, people who are coming in, like, just because your family you personally didn't deal in human trafficking and enslavement, because that's what it was, you benefit from the system or you are part of said system, right? Like, I can't absolve myself of what America does in Gaza, in Syria, and Sudan, because I'm an American and I benefit from this thing that America does. Right? I can disagree with it. Can't say I didn't have a part in it. Right? And back then, even worse, because it's like you had the slavers, but who supplied the materials to them, or who took the materials and then repackaged them and sold them, right? Like people love to talk about the North like it was some thing, but the North had slaves too. And also the South was the agricultural engine who then sent the things up to the North to be refined and then sold internationally and also around the country. So it was a huge thing. It's literally what built America's wealth. I don't care where you were, right? So that's one part. And then sometimes, like you'll point out, like you came through Ellis Island. Well, depends on when that was, because some of the people who were coming through on Ellis Island, part of what they were getting were land grants. And with the land grant, you would be given 3 or however many slaves to go with the land. So they give you land and some people. Your family probably did. They just didn't have a huge plantation like you're thinking of in Louisiana. Right. But they've had a farmstead out in Oklahoma. Right. So that's the other thing that often gets lost. But even so, like I'm real big on just know the history, tell the history, but also draw that line that comes forward. We are where we are now. As a group, you have certain benefits and detriments. Are you actively trying to dismantle any of them? The answer is no. Guess what? You're part of it.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. You know? You don't like it? Too bad. I'm not talking about opinion. I'm telling you what it is. So, look at legacies of obstruction and discrimination. The U.S. Senate has how many people?
100.
All right. How many black senators we got?
3.
So we're 3% of the U.S. Senate. 3%.
Yep.
Right? Okay. Slavery ended 1868. Between 1868 and 1902 or whatever year he said, there were black elected people in Congress. And then all of a sudden, 0 when Jim Crow kicked up. That's not slavery. That's free time. So it's just one of those things, man. It's like history is a dark place. It really is. It always has been. And guess what? To someone, we will be history. So you can't always look backwards and say, well, that was just a different time. You got to look at it in the terms of then. Well, I'm looking at it in the terms of now. We got some dark stuff going on. And it all comes down to decisions and choices. And we can make decisions and choices not to be this way.
But you know what amazes me is the movement. Like, I always hear racist white people, sorry, well, Annie, you ain't racist, so I'm not talking to you, saying, go back to Africa. Why don't you just go back to Africa? Like, it's one, it's not a big country, it's a continent. 2, exactly where I'm supposed to go because you stole my heritage. And 3, when there was the movement by Marcus Garvey, and correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there opposition from white people from the Move Back to Africa movement, or am I just totally wrong? So
every time we have tried to.
Yeah, we said, hey, okay, we'll go back. Then you stopped us from going, but you keep telling us to go back. But when we go back, you all of a sudden now you have. Do you? Not that I care, but do you want us here or not want us here? Make up your mind. Which one is it?
My argument to them has always been this: when anybody even remotely come and say, "Go back to your own country," and I literally looked at them and go, "And you do the same." Because unless you're Native American, you ain't from here either. So if I'm going, we all going.
But where am I supposed to go?
Well, that's just it. Their angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Africa
Yeah,
is
their
not a big
angle,
old country.
yeah.
It's not a big country. It's a continent full of, I don't know how many countries are in Africa, but there's more.
54, I believe.
Yeah, it's more than 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go with these as answers. Say 54. Okay. I could be Egyptian. I could be Nigerian. I could be Cameroonian. I could be South Africa. Where am I picking? Just go back, okay? And then when I go back, oh well, you can't go back. Why can't I? You just said go back. I'm trying to go back. Now you want to stop me from going back. You're telling me to go back. I can't with you. Y'all racists confuse me, so I'm done with y'all. Just done.
Yeah, because what they're doing, as we all know, what they're doing is they're using like a mental game, right? Because they're not thinking it through. They're just saying something trying to hurt you. Like when somebody's just trying to hurt you, they just say stuff, right? So go back to Africa if you don't like it here. Okay, so when the tide turns and you don't like it here, how come your answer isn't that you don't go back to Europe? All these problems you had with Obama, why didn't you get your happy butt on a plane and a boat and head back? No, what did you do? You stayed here and fought for what you wanted. Biden's president now. What do? You sit here and you're not heading out. You're not shipping out, right? But it's okay to say that because to those people, America is synonymous with whiteness. Like nothing else. They don't factor anything else into the equation. To them, this is New Israel. God said that the Europeans should have it. This is theirs, and that's all there is to it. They omit the history of 400 years of genocide against the indigenous people. They omit the history of almost 300 years of genocide against the African people. They omit the next 200 years of oppression against all non-white people. That doesn't matter because they were moving through manifest destiny. This was given to them by God, and then that's what it is. So they say things like that, and then it was wild. Like back then, Marcus Garvey came out of Jamaica, came to America, and said, "Hey, I'm gonna build the largest organization of Black people the world has ever known, and our call is we're going back to Africa." Pan-Africanism was born. America assembled all of its resources to break that and effectively murder that man. So that was that one. But if today, even we know the reasons why we have headwinds against it. But if today, all the Black people in America that are still free said, "We out," America would react.
Yeah.
What it would do is it would claim that we're taking trade secrets. It would say we're taking their trade secrets. It would say that we're taking their intellectual property. They would say that they'll come up with all kinds of things. We make up most of their military. They'd have a real hard time. So out of self-interest, they would manufacture a reason to try to stop us.
I'm just the next.
All right, y'all hold on for a second. Let me get through this last video real quick because we're almost up on the hour. So I'm just gonna skip two of them because I think we've already discussed it and to discuss them in different ways at different times. So I just think we would just literally be just speaking in circles. But let me go ahead and get this last video in. It's not because you're Black or white.
So were there no behavior issues because they're mostly white kids? Absolutely not. And it's actually kind of racist to assume that.
How can you argue that racism is not a driving factor in income inequality?
Because it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with culture.
Yeah, that dude with the tie thinks it's culture, but he's wrong. It's poverty.
Because it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with culture. And when you have a culture that doesn't... You know what? Explain to me. You explain to me why Black kids aren't graduating high school.
Poverty?
Explain to me why Black kids are shooting each other in rates significantly higher than whites are shooting each other. Explain to me why 13% of the population is responsible for 50% of the murder. Explain
poverty.
Why the number of Black kids in prison, not for innocent reasons, not for walking down the street and getting pulled into a prison, is so high.
Oh, yeah, poverty.
It has nothing to do with culture. Explain to me why the single motherhood rate in the black community jumped from 20% to 70%.
Oh, that one's actually the drug war.
Movement has made such tremendous strides.
All those statistics that he lists off are symptoms, not causes. The root cause is poverty. And again, that poverty is caused by the momentum of history.
How do you explain that Chinese Americans who were victimized by racism, how do you explain that they have a higher net income than do whites? How do you explain that Japanese Americans have a higher household income than do whites? How do you explain that Korean Americans have a higher net income than do whites? How do you explain Nigerian Americans have a higher net income, household income than do whites?
I'm glad you brought that up because the vast majority of Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Nigerian, and Indian immigrants, while we're at it, all mostly came to the United States since the 1960s, not before it. Also, of all people of color, it's only mostly African Americans and Native Americans that have faced systemic racism with regards to property rights in the past. And finally, there's the single-parent household distinction. 84% of Asian American and Pacific Islander children live with two parents. However, just 58% of Hispanic or Latino children, 51% of Native American children, and 36% of African American children live with two parents. More often than not, single-parent households in the United States are missing a father at home. And where might the fathers be? Well, likely they're in prison as non-violent drug offenders. Say, what does that smell like? Can you smell that? It smells like systemic racism to me.
You know, Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro is the master. And I said this before on the show. If you really listen to Ben Shapiro, he has this fallacy of using one fact across a border of lies. And he talks so fast that you think because he said something factual at the beginning, then obviously your mind dictates that the rest of what he said is a fact. When if you listen to Ben Shapiro when he talks, the majority of his stuff are lies. I mean, straight up, flat out, unadulterated lies, not misunderstandings, not misspoken. No. Misspoken means the next time I hear him, he will correct himself. If you listen to Ben Shapiro, he said the same lie again. And then he'll go to another interview and say the same lie again. But he speaks so 50 miles per hour. And number two, what makes him effective is, and he'll also talk about anything but the subject or the question that you asked him. Because I guarantee you that in and of itself was on point about how come. I'm not talking about that last video. But I've seen interviews with him where he specifically asked a certain topic. And this dude goes on a whole tirade about everything else other than answering that question.
But Marlon, that's not the important thing. That's not the important thing. The important thing is he has a rap song out. That's the important thing.
I'm concerned that both of y'all gave this much time to this man. Like, stop giving random people time of day just because they open their mouth. Shit. You know he's your enemy. You know what I'm saying? Forget him. But anyway, a couple of points that was brought up in the video. So he did do a lot of things based on poverty, which is true if you're looking at the collective group, right? As a collective group, we are disproportionately poor. As a collective group, we exist at or below the poverty line. In fact, within the next 20 to 40 years, we are slated to, as a group, have negative net worth. So individually, there are Black millionaires and billionaires. Individually, there are Black high earners. But the thing is, if you do not own the means of production, right? You don't own any factories. You don't own any major retailers and major things like that. Then you're just a high earner. Someone can turn your money off at any given time. All right. And you're still an individual. But as a group, we're in really bad shape. And poverty does come into play. And then if you look at the rest of the video series that's going on, it'll explain how the poverty is a symptom or a outcropping of the systemic racism, right? That systemic racism was the bus that brought you to the destination called poverty, right? And then we all have to get off the bus and try to figure it out. So I think I like that about the video there. So I just wanted to point that out. But that dude y'all talking about?
First of
whatever,
all,
man.
who can listen? Look, wait, Marlon, I'm at yeah.
It ain't no Marlon. It ain't like I literally on my purposely put that dude in this video. You ain't never seen me.
No, I'm just the one that really makes me mad is Larry Elder, and for several reasons. I can't say the word again that I want to say. One, because Marlon would be demonetized, and I don't want to do that to him.
Don't you have to be monetized to be demonetized?
Yep. I ain't even close.
Oh, well, he's a raccoon then.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna say this every time you do it. You using the oppressor's language against your own damn people.
I don't know what else to call him. What should I call him?
I don't know, but that was it. That one.
Idiot, a dummy, a sellout.
Okay, a sellout.
Yeah, I'll run with sellout. I'll run with a lot of things, but like that's and that's my personal thing. That is not. I'm just saying. I would say if Marlon said it, if anybody else said it, I'd be calling the same way. Like,
no, because that's why I said purposely I would never use the N word. Period. I don't even care how mad and frustrated and irritated and aggravated I am. That word is not in my vocabulary. I'm not calling anybody that word. It is not finna happen. And no, I'm not going to even say, even if you're acting like one. No, that word was specifically used to degrade Black people. Now, if you're acting like an ass, that's what I'm going to call you. And ass. That's what you're acting like. But I'm not going to skip over it.
Okay, I'll put myself on mute because apparently I can't.
No, I'm just going to say this real quick. I don't use the word anymore, the N word. But I do understand everybody ain't where I'm at. So there is still a significant group of people who would say that there's that version, that soft A type thing. And I can tell you I ain't with it and I ain't cool with it, but I'm not gonna police your speech on that. But the other one is different because there's no there's no term of endearment coming out of that one. Like there's but the Larry Elders of the world will always have them, because he truly believes he has achieved escape velocity.
And he didn't see how they treated him when he tried to run for president. Like
he doesn't see it.
But
he does not see it.
That's a funny line that you use.
Just like old Tim.
But
no, Tim was worse. Tim would have got a whole wife just to be.
But Theus, that's a funny line that you use. That he escaped. Because have him tell it. He just worked hard, pulled themselves up by the bootstraps, and everything that people are seeing, he never seen it, and he didn't have no idea. But what you said was, no, you escaped.
No, I'm not saying he escaped. I'm saying he achieved escape velocity in his mind. So there's a certain point where you make money and you think you can outrun your color.
Yeah.
Like black Republicans, overwhelmingly, if you ask them, they vote based on their wallet. That is what dictates how they vote.
That's how most
Same reason you have log cabin Republicans. The party is avowedly against your existence, but you're voting your wallet.
All right, Anna, you got the last word of the hour.
Just learn your history, but still look forward is the most valuable lesson that we can impart. Look around at where you are. What can you affect? It is everybody's duty to, you come into this world, you should try to make it a better place. And if we all touched the corners of the world that we have access to, we could make this a radically different place in very little time. But it takes working together. It takes working towards a very similar goal. And if the greater good is not that goal, please ask yourself why.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for sticking with me on this. How you gonna raise your hand and you muted?
Because I was going to say that Tracy was trying to complete the thought, and she got cut off and never had a chance to finish.
That's okay.
Okay.
You sure you don't want to finish?
No, I stand behind what I said.
Wouldn't have it any other way, Tracy. That is our first hour of the show. We have a full lineup on the second show, so we'll relatively leave it a little early, but like 3 minutes. So we have a full stack. Am I the a-hole? Positive story of the week that I literally just picked up like an hour ago. Mafia video of the week, real or nah, and Foxy's video of the week. 3-minute break to reboot and refresh, and we'll see everybody on the other side. Stay tuned.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise.
second, before we get started, let's go ahead and pay those bills. Please do not forget to go to patreon.com/Tracy Media Fan. Help support Tracy and all of her endeavors. Please do not forget to go to Anna Hart's website, BorelliEtc.com. Learn something that you didn't think you need to know, but you should. Saturday Night Vibe will return next Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as always, if you need to reach me, you can do so at radtp@outlook.com. That's RADTP@outlook.com. What are you shaking your head about?
No, I be emailing you videos for Mafia Video of the Week.
You better email me this one. Oh, yeah, okay.
Then telling people to email. He'll look at y'all's, but he gonna just ignore me. Like I'm not on here almost every week, except for those 3 weeks I took off.
He never looks at mine.
You don't ever send them.
You literally never send
Is
me.
Anna okay?
And by the way, Tracy, if
Anna?
if I have never done any of your videos, then the Red House wouldn't have been here.
No, I said lately. I didn't talk about the past. We're looking forward. We're not looking back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
But seriously, where's Anna?
She blocked out. I guess she'll be back.
Okay.
She went to get some more tea. But
yeah, y'all know y'all enjoy my videos. They're funny, hilarious, and thought-provoking.
More often than not, I do enjoy your videos. I don't know about the thought-provoking part on most of them, because some of them are a little
Red House,
but I do enjoy
unity,
them.
Racial unity, because they serve black people and white people and everybody.
This is true. The Red House was a good one. Same with the coffee joint. I like that one. And then the dude with the weird dancing.
You used the word satanic yesterday, Tracy.
I said demonic.
Demonic. That coffee thing was the most demonic video I have ever seen.
That was hilarious.
That
Kermit
was
the Frog ran over somebody with a hilarious.
That was a fever dream. That was awful.
And you put it on air. That's the thing.
Yep. And now you know why I don't always put your videos up.
Now, Tracy, was it you that shared that 1980s video clip? It might not have been you.
Which one?
But it had like a lady singing and she was doing a weird gyration thing. But then the dude came in with a red shirt on and he was doing them kicks and the kicks were like mad fast. It must not have been you. That was hilarious. I showed that to my teenager and she just was rolling after being mortified.
No idea what
I did do the 80s hip hop lady. The lady that had no business doing hip hop. There's talking about she knew how to do hip hop.
Oh, how to do hip hop.
Oh, this is hip hop?
Yeah, this is hip hop lady.
Yeah, see? The service.
She was on Bob's Burgers.
That was mine. Service is selling and selling is service.
No, I put that on my Facebook page.
That was terrible.
I put that on my Facebook page. I didn't even email that to you. You said, okay, I'm gonna just put it on here anyway. And who can forget the rapping grandmother? Who?
Anna.
Oh yeah, besides Anna.
Y'all want what?
What was it? Linda Paulson.
Linda Paulson. And chit chat.
Because I know what a woman is, or whatever she said.
Don't you ever bring that one? That ain't never coming back on this show.
Chit chat,
patty.
That was bad. That was very bad.
And the thing was, her voice was not terrible. That was the bad thing.
I don't remember. I remember it was just horrible. It was just a bad experience.
But it was like
she had a very decent voice.
A very decent voice. I just felt sorry for the little girl standing next to her. She was just like.
Because I don't even know what was she supposed to do. And that's my point. I think she was just, come on up here, baby. Okay. Hold this microphone and pretend that you finna sing. And you never did. Like,
right.
Okay. Anyway, Am I the a-hole? All right, let's go ahead and get into it. My wife won't keep the house clean.
Throwaway count as I don't want to clog up my main. Clog it up. Yep. I, 35 male, have been with my wife, 29 female, for 6 years, married for 2 years. She's been off work the past month or so and will be for the next few months. We agreed that while she was off work, she would do 90% of the housework as I work an 8 to 5 job. Over the past 2 weeks, she has been giving me excuse after excuse as to why things like laundry aren't done, the bathroom isn't clean, and dinner hasn't been done. Some days she barely gets out of bed and her house looks like a right state. I'm embarrassed when my parents come over, as my mom keeps her house spotless. Last week, after I came home to only a fraction of the chores being done, I asked my wife if she was planning on actually doing the things she promised me she would do. She snapped at me, saying it had been a bad day and I could be a bit more sympathetic. I pointed out that she said when she went off work that she was going to do the housework while I was at work. It's not difficult, as both my mom and my sister can easily keep their houses clean and tidy. Oh, boy, you're just heading in the right direction. You're not saying anything wrong at all, OP. Nothing. My wife blew up at me and said that I was being completely unreasonable. She went to stay with her parents, both of whom have been texting me and calling me an asshole since. My parents and my sister both think I'm justified for reacting like this. So, am I the astronaut? Oh, I see it in bold here and I knew it was coming. Edit, because I've already had people ask for more info. She's off work because she's 38 weeks pregnant with our first child. I don't see this as an excuse because all the women in my family have worked up until their due dates and managed to keep their homes tidy. Why can't my wife?
Okay, it's a real simple, yeah, dude, you are the a-hole. Number one, make one thing perfect. Let me just throw this out there. I ain't gonna say make it perfectly clear because you're not gonna listen in a way because you're an idiot. I don't see what the big deal is because my mom and my sister kept the house clean up until their due date. Says who? Your mom and your sister? Like, okay, so this is your barometer. Their house could have been trashed up to trash can be, and they still gonna tell you they cleaned it from head to toe, carrying that baby all the way around. Number two, let me speak to some of you guys who will absolutely positively never, ever, ever have to go through this, ever. During this time when they're carrying your child too, you really will want to make it as easy on them as they possibly can. It is really that simple. If you can't understand that, I have no idea what was your sole purpose. Well, I was going to say something stupid. I know what your sole purpose was: getting married and having children, because that was the goal in life as a man. Get married, have kids, be the head of the household, be a father, be a husband. So yeah, I apologize. I knew what that answer was. So I'm gonna take back everything that I literally said. I have no advice from you. You're an asshole. Your wife got one foot out the door, and I don't even care what happens to you from that point on, because basically you're not going to admit that you did anything wrong anyway. And you got a sister and a mom that got your side, so woohoo for that. So I have no advice from you because you're not going to listen, and I'm not even going to waste no more time. I yield the floor.
He literally said she was how many weeks? 38 weeks pregnant?
38.
38. She got 2 more weeks left.
No, I thought. Wait a minute. I thought her whole pregnancy was 38 weeks.
40.
It's
40? A lot of there's some even to a 41st week.
I'll be honest, there's some leeway in
I
it.
learn something new every day because I'm sitting here thinking, well, if it's 38, she can rehab that baby.
Not quite.
Dude, I want to say so badly, I see where he's coming from, but I don't. She's not your maid. She's not your maid. It's one thing if she weren't pregnant. Well, no, because she could have depression. Because trust me, my house, you really don't want to see what my house looks like right now. It's not neat. I'm telling you that it's not. But he compared her to his mother and sister. This dude said,
never do that.
Don't do that. Somebody should have told you, look, just pick up the stuff. Who's
gonna tell him? You got your mommy telling you that you did nothing wrong.
I thought the mother was on the mother's side.
The mother said you right. She should be keeping the house clean. The mother and the sister is on the husband's side.
Sometimes parents need to stay out of their children's relationships. No, not sometimes, all the time.
The 90% when he's gone for 9 hours of a 24-hour
day.
You kind of have to wonder exactly how bad is the
Where's
house.
Her ankles could be swollen. She's going to the bathroom like 20 times a day.
She could still be dealing with nausea. She could still be dealing with heartburn. So many things. But no, this guy wouldn't listen. So. You're being very quiet.
Yeah, you're being quiet. I'm like, okay, now let's just take this.
No, I'm being quiet on purpose because I monopolize too much of the discussion a lot of times. And in honesty, I miss most of what the story was. I mean, he's lazy. He thinks his wife is supposed to clean up behind him no matter how pregnant or whatever the situation is. Then he goes crying to his mom and his sister and they back him up. Whatever, man. So I didn't really have much I could add here. I'm not that kind of guy. I do the lion's share of the cleaning in my family. I do the lion's share of the cooking in my family. I did more than half or up to half of all of the baby duties. Like, I'm not your typical cat. You know what I'm saying? So I can't relate to this kind of stuff, man. But at the same time, I don't know what the right balance is because this obviously ain't it. But what I do and what I put up with and what I've established as normal for my family, that's not. I wouldn't prescribe that for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So
he out loud said he went to his mama.
People go to their mama all the time. Wives go to their mama on the regular. Wives go to their mama about all the stuff all the time. Like, talk to their mama every day, multiple times a day sometimes. So I really can't stand that thing where it's like all of a sudden the dude ain't supposed to, like, oh, he's a mama's boy because he's always talking to his mama. But it's okay to be a mama's girl or be a daddy's girl. You know what I'm saying? It's all about balance. And obviously, this is not the best example of
yeah, I know. I'm having their parents for advice. I've honestly never had any issue with that at all. In a way, even when you're grown, you still got people who more grown than you, who got more experience than you. And if you got the right parent, taking all the toxic stories that we listen to, when you got the right parent, you have that parent who encourage you on, yeah, I see what you're saying and everything else.
Go talk to your spouse.
But at the same time, balances that out of, okay, you straight up in the wrong, right? And you need to go ahead and handle your business cause blah, 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 blah. So I just
I'm more like Tracy. Unless it's good news, unless it's good news, don't take that to your parents.
Them. You ain't got no problem with me. You got problem with that person, not me.
That literally goes without saying that you can't handle what goes on inside your marriage going outside.
Well, yeah, you can.
It's times.
No,
that's what therapists are for. But I'm saying, like,
on everything.
I'm not saying I'm being real, dude. I'm not saying it's a loophole. I'm saying sometimes you need to go to a professional who has no vested interest in your outcome other than your ability to pay the bills, to help you, right? Or sometimes, and more often than not, for dudes, you need your friend circle. It'd be like 2 or 3 dudes that they're the ones who can like check you or help you understand things or work through things. You need that, and that'll be you taking something from your marriage outside the marriage, but you're really going because, hey, I need help with me because I'm having some problems with this right here. I think one of the most dangerous things in the world is for people to live in their heads. That's a scary place to be.
Or run to your mama every time something go wrong like this.
Well, it's unfair to do that to your mom and to your family members like that, because if the only thing you bring into them are your negatives, that's what they have.
Yep.
So when you forgive them, they still got that.
That's the only thing they're gonna remember. Yeah. But what I was going to say was, I have no issue you going to your parents because they may have more experience in the situation that you're going through. What I always had an issue with, and personally, I never even knew this existed until I started listening and reading these stories. I've never experienced it, not once in my life, is when I get a phone call from my significant other parents talking to me and berating me and let's discuss this, and they were like, whoa, hold up. Wait a minute, what are you talking about? My daughter came and said something to me. Okay, then you need to talk to your daughter. No, I'm talking to you. No, you're not. You're not.
And why should if you a parent-in-law, unless they like if they come to you and say she beat me or he beat me, now that you interfere in that. You absolutely positively physical but domestic violence situation, you absolutely interfere. But outside of that, you be like, look here, you need to be talking to them because I ain't married to you. I ain't not married to you. You need to work that out with them. Don't you be bringing me all your problems. You supposedly you're grown.
All right, well, let's go ahead and stop because it so happens that since we went that direction of what I deem is going to be a very bad parent. But like Thea says, people change. They can change. You know, this guy could have put this stuff on Reddit and got cussed out so bad. It's like, okay, I'm really in the bad role. So, So, you don't know. Positive story of the week.
I got your cable ready.
Anna, how did that get loud? This is the same song I played yesterday.
Cable
because I wasn't wearing my headphones yesterday.
Oh, good Lord.
But yes, ding dong.
And I hate to even say this because of Theus's and his warped mind, but it was the best title I could come up with.
His very healthy when it comes to sexual matters mind.
No, have a healthy imagination. That's all.
It's warped. It's warped. It's warped. No, that's not healthy.
I overwarped myself because that's
warped. Plumber, that's warped.
No, that's actual porn.
I still say I'm not missing nothing by not watching porn.
No, you're not. You're not.
But sister called me dad.
I was 20 years old when my sister was born. Currently, I'm 31 and my sister is 11. Also, I'm a man. Our mom wasn't in a good place physically or mentally, and my sister's father was a druggie, so I took her in and I've been raising her ever since. Legally, she's mine. In certain ways, I've always seen her as a daughter. I feel as though the love I have for her would be the love that a father would have for his daughter. I mean, I watched her grow up. I was there for every single milestone. Most people would consider me to be her father. However, my sister grew up with the knowledge that I'm her big brother, and the reason that I take care of her is that our mom and her dad can't take care of her the way they should. We're both sick. My sister has chronic asthma, and when sick, her asthma is worse. At like 3 a.m., I heard her wheezing and coughing in her sleep and got her nebulizer to give her a breathing treatment. I had to wake her up to get her to take it. She was half asleep, and when she finished, I told her she could go back to sleep. She mumbled, okay, and then when I was leaving her room, she said, "Thank you, Dad." It was quiet, but I heard it. I had a good, happy/emotional cry, and it's getting me teary-eyed just thinking about it. Then, 1 week later, OP posted an update. After that night, she went back to calling me by my first name, so I decided to take up the advice from some of the comments. I told her that whenever she's half asleep, she could call me Dad, and she looked panicky and apologized. I told her she had no reason to apologize, and actually, I wanted to talk to her about it. I let her know that if she wanted to, she could call me Dad, but she never had to feel forced to call me Dad. Like I said, it's only if she wanted to. She started to cry, and she let me know there had been so many times she wanted to call me Dad, and she almost did, but she stopped herself because I was her brother. I told her we both knew that I would never be just her brother. Plus, a dad isn't always someone who's biologically your father, but the person who raised you. After that, we both cried, but the past few days, she's been calling me Dad. It's honestly been amazing to hear. Like I said in my original post, I've always felt more like her dad than her brother.
Oh.
That's the nicest thing I think.
What in the Arkansas, Alabama, West Virginia?
Oh my!
Come on, Theus.
Come on, man.
There's no way you can sit.
I knew it. You are cynical. If I was to put up there that it was from Arkansas and Kansas and this was crazy, you'd have had no problem with it. You can't stand positive stories, dude.
No, I think it's beautiful to have that relationship with your little sister, but he basically was coaching her into calling her dad. Look, man, look, you are taking on a fatherhood type role because you are helping to do what nobody else could do for her, and that is commendable. You are a tremendous man, a tremendous big brother. That is up there. You know what I'm saying? But you acknowledged child was half asleep and said it, but you had to bring it back. You had to bring it back up. For what? For what? Listen, but anyway, this cool.
It was on her mind.
No, it was something that was on his mind. So, but whatever. I'm saying that was just a little different from me. But that's cool. I mean, whatever. I can't see ever calling my big brother dad. You know what I'm saying? I can't ever, because like it creates more, you create more confusion down the road. Like, but whatever, man. Y'all do you. Ooh, happy story. I mean, the story was a good story, but that part right there.
But then sometimes older children, like my mother came from a family of 12. Like it was 12 of them. So the older siblings, the younger ones were kind of like their children.
Yes. That's what I said. Literally what I said.
But sometimes they would slip up. It wouldn't be on purpose.
And that's fine. Also fine. He circled back and was like, well, you can call me dad if you want to. Because the child is missing the opportunity to have a father, and he has been feeling that in her life. And that was something that was a hole in her heart and is also a hole in his heart because he felt that she deserved to have a father, and he was the closest thing that he could be for her. I understand all of that. I'm just talking about the word choice. That's it. The titling thing, because the titles mean something. And then it's also going to create confusion. Like now you're out in, I don't know, whatever. If it works for them,
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so let's go with
But for me, it made me be like, we could have done the story without that part.
Title. First of all, I'm raising the kids. I really don't give a damn if it confuse you or not. I mean, she's my brother.
Well, obviously you do care because you're taking exception to my take of that part. So it bothers you on that level.
I always take exception to all your stuff, so I don't know why this is at all. Number two,
but you just said you don't care.
Let's go. No, I'm going in a broader sense. You were saying it will cause confusion with other people. It's like, okay, I'm her brother, but I have been raising her for so long, she decided to title me dad. I'm so confused. Okay, then you're purposely going out of your way to be confused because I'm going by what you said, Theus. It is the title. She titled me dad. I have a more fatherly role in her life than brotherly role in her life. So she titled me what she felt was the correct title for me, which was father.
Okay. Your brother is your father. Got you.
Yes.
Yeah, literally in this case. Yep. Cool. Next. It was a lovely story, though. I mean, in his heart, he felt he could pick up and do all of the things a dad does, and yeah, those getting up in the middle of the night, that's some of the hardest stuff when you hear a family member who is crying or cannot breathe, like, that's very, very tough. I had asthma when I was a kid, so I kind of understand. I never had it to
Kansas City got the ball back.
Dude.
I ain't told y'all nothing about the game. Why are we on the air? And the score is 13-10.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Tracy, for holding it down. For real. You know, dude.
I was saying that Kansas City ribs.
Then he gonna sit there until an hour.
What you gonna do? What was that?
on the ball.
And the ushers brought him down to whatever.
I ain't gotta explain myself to y'all.
Tracy, make sure you mute your TV. Got my TV muted the whole time.
Anyway, go ahead, Tracy.
Oh, I ain't had nothing to say. I'm just like.
Oh, that was Lord have mercy. I'm messing up so badly. Well, it's February, so I can mess up early in the year. Of course, that means I'll never mess up anymore for the rest of the year. So we'll get it out early.
No, you won't.
But go ahead, Anna. Because I what he said at the end is what really got me, was the fact that biology, when it comes to your title, your role, is slowly becoming, to me, this is just my opinion, it's becoming null and void. Especially the more that I keep listening to these stories, it's like, again, I got 4 stepkids. I ain't called them stepkids in years. I just really haven't. They're my children.
Bro, none of this is new. Brothers, elder siblings have been raising their younger siblings since the dawn of time. Step parents have been raising their adopted and married children. But no, I'm coming at the point you said is becoming like almost irrelevant, and I'm like, no, nothing has changed here. Nothing has changed here.
Not that. It's the fact that, and I'm going to Thea's route. I may have been so caught up in these doggone toxic ass damn Reddit stories. It's just beginning to kind of piss me off and everything else. But family is family, and family is family, and no matter how I treat you, family is family. Blood is thicker than water. It is just like, bruh, if you have somebody who's not blood that treats you better than your own blood, and then you upset that they're more closer than them, where are we going with it? This, what I'm saying, is new to me because I did grow up in the family is family, blood is thicker than water.
There's value to that too, though. There's value to that too.
Come back together. That's new to me. And then I started hearing these stories where you have friends who treat you more of a family than your family. You have, I can't say aunts and uncles because that's still blood, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's, I listen to so many of these stories, and maybe I need to, the next week I'm going to.
Yeah, you listen to some toxic stories. They can end up starting to mess with you a little bit. But one of the things I was going to say, though, the reason why I say this has always been the case, and this is really important to me talking to the Black community, but this applies to all of us, right? The family structure has always been very fluid. Always. Right? Communities adjust to what is needed and necessary. It is not uncommon for you to have an aunt that takes on a niece or a nephew. It's not uncommon for an elder cousin to take on a younger cousin. Sometimes you got people who will take on a runaway and raise that child as their own. Their family finds a way. And I would actually say one of the most damaging concepts is where we try to force the Anglican Eurocentric neat and tidy model as the only thing that is normal, because it's not even normal for them. Okay, that is something that has been brought out. It's not even in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Bible talks about marriage, right? But you have multiple wives and all those other things going on in there too. So family serves a purpose. And if that purpose is like this story that you just shared, that's family. And I don't know, man. That's why I'm like, what he did is noble and commendable for him and his sister. But that's just them. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did the stand-up thing. And people do it all the time. What we need to do is continue to highlight the people who do stuff like this. How about that? Make it more normal for people who are not living the normal thing to be shown in a normal light. Maybe that would help. I don't know how to do it because people don't like good news. People like things that make them feel better about their own lives, which is usually going to be some form of dysfunction.
Yeah, these positive stories of the week is like less and less.
I had one problem with the whole story, and all of a sudden I was
you put them in West Virginia and Alabama and Louisiana.
What's wrong with them places?
I don't know, Diaz. What's wrong with them places? You the one that brought them up.
Well, other than the brother, cousin, sister, uncle dynamic that is oftentimes known for, some of the more remote areas of incest and inbreeding. But so that was what I was talking about. But in this particular case, I was just saying, it's just like, I don't know. The part that bothered me was like, it's almost like, that's not probably not the best way to put it. So no, the part that kind of bothered me was the child was in a vulnerable moment. It's understandable the child wishes that they had their parents, and he feels that role in that child's life, but it's still not the same as, right? So in that moment, the child said something, called him dad, because that's the feeling that emanates for what she wishes she had from her father, right? Which is fine. I was only saying, like, him taking that because he had already expressed that he feels this way towards his little sister too, to draw it out. And I'm like, I don't know that that's something for novices to do. I mean, that's fine for them and their dynamic. I hope it all works out. But generally speaking, were you really doing it for you, or were you doing it for her? Kind of like when we were talking about one of the previous stories, the dude wanted to tell the daughter that you were going to be aborted. Were you doing that for you, or were you doing that for her? Like, that sometimes we do things for ourselves, but we rationalize it as being for the other person.
All right.
So,
Mafia video of the week. I have absolutely no idea who sent this to me. I know it's not one of mine. So if it's one of the people watching, if it's one of the people on this panel here, just please let me know and I'll give you full credit. But here we go.
When we're having these repetitive arguments over and over again about cancel culture and comedy and et cetera, you've taken a broad historical perspective. Like, what do you hope that people would see differently when they're looking at them?
You would be able to see through the horse.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that you can't say anything anymore. The
Yeah.
word anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
the idea that we're in any kind of worse censorious regime than we were a couple decades ago.
You could make a very healthy argument. You can't say specific slurs anymore. Okay, I'll give you that. But compared to what you couldn't say as recently as the 1980s, putting bigotry aside, just in terms of expressions of sexuality, criticism of foreign policy, criticism of religion, swearing on stage, almost all of comedy falls into one of those categories now.
Yes.
This was a really great conversation via Adam Conover.
You know, and all of it would have been taboo. Nikki Glazer, who I love, would have been in prison doing hard time.
Just for doing a joke.
Yes. 1962, Lenny Bruce got arrested in Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard because he used the word schmuck on stage.
This is the correct reaction.
You know, there's this tiresome trend in comedy in which comics, especially famous older comics, the kind of folks I used to really admire, are getting paid millions to do big specials on the largest platforms that exist. And during these specials, they complain about being silenced and censored. It is, frankly, boring, but it's also part of a grand American tradition because for as long as comedy has been around, people have claimed that you can't do comedy anymore, that you can't say what you want to say. Here's the weird thing, though. A couple decades ago, you would get arrested and thrown in prison for saying the wrong thing on stage, whereas today, you just get yelled at the internet and maybe you don't get hired for another job. The fact is that American society is today far more permissive about every type of speech than we were just a few decades ago. And the strange truth is that the idea that American culture is more censorious, that people are stopping us from saying what we want to say, is actually propaganda that is being pushed out by the same forces that were censoring us just a few decades ago. It is a bizarre social transition that has taken place, and it's hard to appreciate unless you actually dive into the history of comedy and popular entertainment more broadly.
Cancel culture is a false flag. It's the same thing as the same people who like to call out cancel culture, the same ones who brought us reverse racism. You know, it is, look, you say something, the market reacts, doesn't approve of it, you don't get booked. Yes, you got canceled, but you got canceled as a consequence of the market reacting to what you brought. Maybe you need to focus on what market you in. Maybe you're talking to the wrong audience. Stop trying to fit the audience to you, and you need to address yourself to the audience that you need to be in front of. Right? You want to say racist things? Well, then you need to choose that audience. All right? But you're not going to be able to just wander up in the Baptist church and drop slurs all over the place and then be like, they canceled me. So I don't know. I get what he's saying. I agree with him. I mean, and then also I think comics need to have a lot more flexibility because they've always been the ones who push the envelope. They've always been the voice. Them and musicians, they've always been the voice of the unheard. So
entertainment, and some of these people who are, if you think about it, so please don't fuss at me when I say this. If you think about it for a while, there are very few legends than there are musicians when it comes to whatever form of entertainment that you're looking at. Sports, comedians, actresses, actors, whatever you want to look at. There are very few of them that become legends. Beneath that, there are well,
what was that? You started breaking up.
It's my internet and it's building up now, so we'll see if it. There we go, full bars, hot diggity. Anyway, what I was saying was, but there are very few legends. There are very few times when you could say a name or whatever entertainment that you're talking about, and you automatically know who that person is. Beneath that, there are people whose names that you could say, and a majority, but not everybody would know who you're talking about. And then right beneath that, there are people who, unless you are in that genre or in that time frame of sports and anything, that you will know who they're talking about. I say that big, long, tiring thing to say all of entertainment evolves. There are people who know how to evolve with it. If you look at the Beatles, just for an example, if you look at the Beatles music in the 60s was not the Beatles music in the 70s.
Oh, they had broken up by then.
Well, okay, 50s, 60s. Okay, sorry. In the 50s was not the same music in the 60s.
Nope, not
no, they came out in the 60s.
Okay,
at the beginning, they started out one way, they didn't.
Okay, let me go to Elvis then, for the love of God. Look at Elvis and look at how he evolved from where he was to
Use Michael Jackson. Child Michael Jackson, adult Michael Jackson. That's a way better example.
Okay, let's go with
Elvis
that.
didn't really evolve. He just got old.
No. I will fight you on that because you will be amazed. I will never forget the. It's silly. Trust me, it is. It was a branch of time where people was really excited about the new steps that was coming out. And the new stamp that was coming out, one was involving Elvis. And they said, which Elvis stamp would you like for him to come out in? Would you like for him to come out in the Hawaiian Elvis suit? And I promise you, or would you like the one where he was in Vegas? And I went, what? Wait, what? Vegas? Vegas? But they was dead serious about it.
No, Marlon, we giving you the example.
I'm sorry, bro. You're losing your audience on this one, man. You talking about Elvis, dog.
To older Michael Jackson. That is a far better example.
That has nothing to do with my point.
There's like 5 people. There might be 5 people out there who might stumble across the video that understand Elvis. I'm just,
my point is, it's the evolution of entertainment, whatever your entertainment is.
Marlon, I was really trying to help you. I know,
because I want to move on, because I do not want to start getting into a whole bunch of and if you want to really look into it, we can look at such and such. No, my point is,
that was a shot at me. Terrible. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
But you're
good Lord, I just want to finish. Chambers.
Oh,
my point, yes, because they will sit there and just talk and talk and talk. My point is, just like comedy will evolve. And in case you don't know, I'm going to knock this out. My point is, if you don't remember, do anybody remember Andrew Dice Clay? one of those big, huge comedians where the majority of his jokes was just flat out lewd, rash, but he was one of the biggest acts that was going on, and all of a sudden he just fell off the map because it ran its course.
Yeah.
It was just a done deal. It ran its course. And
yes, Marlon.
Right now, I'm looking at your two cohorts, and I love them, but I hate them, but I love them, but they're getting on my freaking nerves.
Just positive vibes.
I can't do negative today. Positive vibes.
My point is, when it comes to entertainment, everything runs its course. Everything has its shelf life. So when comedians come out with their whole tirade of cancel culture, which whatever, what you're really saying is you can't get away with using these picking on the audience at the beginning of your show, and because it was so funny back then and it's not funny now, you're being canceled. No, you're not being canceled. It's just not funny anymore. When you think picking on homosexuality and all that other stuff, it got you a lot of money back then, so it was funny back then, but now it's not funny anymore. It's ran its course. People involved picking on homosexuality and picking on anything else, it's just not funny anymore. So you need to come up with new stuff.
Generally, we don't like to punch down as a society, right? Like,
see, I was giving her a chance, but no. See how Theas do. Nope, I don't like his attitude.
wow. Y'all are driving me to distraction tonight.
But go ahead, Anna.
What was I saying? What is generally accepted as funny usually has to have a great grain of truth to it. No, okay. Y'all, guys are trying my brain.
LL, Javier ain't got nothing to do with it. I kicked him off. Oh, and welcome, LL.
That was like 10 minutes of quality silent entertainment.
Yeah.
But anyway, did you see what I was saying? Is that time has evolved, and instead of you saying that, hey, maybe I need to come up with new material, you just blame it on cancel culture, which I don't know. Is that your reasoning of saying I'm just going to guilt trip you into still listening to my stuff that you don't think funny anymore? When you say stuff like that? Or you just say it so you don't take responsibility that the stuff that you said back in the past just doesn't, jive with your audience now? I don't know exactly why you keep saying cancel culture. You can say what you want to. Cool. That don't mean they have to listen. Or laugh or buy your tickets or however you want to take it. So I'm done.
Mm-hmm. We are.
You don't have anything, Theas? I'm
I have
literally just.
absolutely nothing to add. I have
I would
absolutely
like to
nothing to add.
promote that I'm having comics on my Tuesday show this month for February. I thought it got off to a great start.
It did. I agree. It did.
And young Michael Jackson versus old Michael Jackson is still the better example.
It makes you feel better.
I agree.
Sure. I just don't.
It is because it shows a far more
you start off kiddie pop and then you progress to adulthood.
Evolution. Yes. I mean, trying for the Beatles, going from an early time from their rock and roll to their more Sgt. Pepper's time, like that's studio magic. That's what Michael Jackson did was reinvent himself over and over.
You can even go young Prince versus like you could go Prince at the beginning and Prince towards the end. Because Raspberry Beret is a whole different song than When Doves Cry. I mean, in terms of the evolution.
Tracy, I tried to help you out there, and then you had to go.
Prince does work. He evolved.
I mean, he does, but yeah, okay.
You can't count the edition.
You got Marlon?
That's a terrible
I'm going to move on because they do. For the people who are new, and apparently everybody watches our show afterwards, this is the part of the show where they derail it by talking about everything else other than the subject. And then when we get to even close to the 3 hour, they start looking at me going, I got to go to work tomorrow. I'm so tired. I got to go to. And they old stuff that they did back
No. Most of the time, that's it. But today, this is all you. Today is all you.
How is this all me?
You roll this back and look at the last 20 minutes. It's all you. You can't blame us for this.
Yeah, you used a dumb example. We was trying to help you out.
You'll see when you rewatch, honey. I'm sorry.
Now, other times, yeah, it's me. I'll take the blame. You know, I'll take the blame most times, but today wasn't me.
Okay, today out of 365. Well, I can't say that.
We don't see each other every day.
Weekends. Anyway, not today. We'll try again next Sunday, and I'll bring it up there.
Okay.
Real or nah? I'm not even gonna give you the answer. My answer to this. This is the traditional real or nah, not the whole haha, we just trying to be funny type of thing. This is a traditional real or nah. I want everybody to answer, is this real or is it not? Okay. So we're going back to tradition. The most frustrating woman ever.
I fix phones for a living, and I have...
Sorry, I have to stop real quick. For anybody who has their volume up, there is a small part of this video where it gets loud. It is not long at all. It's like seconds, but it does get loud just for a couple of seconds, and then it goes all the way back down again. So just give you a heads up.
I fix phones for a living, and I have this one regular customer come in, and every time she drops a device off, she always spends between 3 to 7 minutes having a conversation with me that goes a little like the following. We've got mother, we've got the daughter, and we've got me. How much is this? Me. If it just needs this repair, then it costs this much, and I can get it done within this amount of time. Will it work? Me. It should do. If it doesn't, I won't charge you. I don't charge for diagnosis. I've never charged you for diagnosis, but from what I can see, it just needs this repair, and that costs this much. Will it work though? It should, yes. Is it okay though? I'm not 100% sure until I've tried it, but it looks like it should be fine with a new repair. I'll let you know if it'll be extra before I do the work. What if it doesn't work? If it doesn't work, I won't charge you. I don't charge to just check things over. Do I have to pay if it doesn't work? No, I don't charge for diagnosis. I can't afford it. Okay, well it's this much for that repair. If you can't afford that right now, I can't do the repair for you today. What if I can't afford it? I'm on benefits. If I get the phone working and you want it done, I can do it now. And you can collect it when you have money. Or you can bring it back when you can afford it. Will it work? I'm not 100% sure until I've tried it. You'll have to leave it with me. Can you fix it? I should be able to! Yes! Do you think you can do it? I should be able to. Yes. Can you do it today? Yes. But if it works and you want it back today, I'll need payment today. Will it work? I can only let you know if you leave it with me. Okay. Will you let me know, though? Because I've got anxiety and I'm on benefits, and I can't afford it. I understand. I will call you straight away if I know it will be extra. Otherwise, I'll just let you know when it's done. Will you let me know, though? Will you call me when it's done? Yes, I'll call you as soon as it's done. I promise. And you'll let me know if it's extra? Yes. I'll quote you if it's any more than just this repair for this much. She then proceeds to call me / come back to the shop every half hour and ask if it's done yet and if it's any extra. I do always call her when I have updates too.
Oh, this is real. This is so real. This is absolutely working in a call center, this is 1,000,000% real. You will literally tell because I take provide calls. The bill is this much because the person has other insurance. Well, why is the bill that much? Because they have other insurance. It's like you're repeating the same thing over and over and over and over and over. This is real. This is real. There's no doubt in my mind. Real.
Is
this a real or not?
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's real, and cognitive decline is a sad thing to experience or work with, and yeah, that's all I got, because that story was way too daggone long. Like, legit, you cut the whole middle out and told the same story.
Okay. My answer is, and I thought the same thing, that it was caught in a decline until I realized that I have dealt with customers who it wasn't. Just wasn't. I don't know what it is. I said it is real. I have literally had customers when I was doing call centers who the person who answered that call will literally forward it to me because I was the only person who was able to handle that certain type of person. Now, yes, I will go with it. Some of it is decline. Others have, and what people fail to realize is they have been screwed over by so-called company that I was working for so long. They pinpoint, they want everything that you're saying to be exactly what they heard because they've been screwed over for so much for so long that, oh yeah, we did say this, but we didn't say this. Oh, I didn't say that at all. Well, I did say this, but only when this happened. So yeah, you will have people who will question every statement to make sure that, okay, I want you are saying. So when it comes back later on, if something is not working or something is not correct or my service get turned off or whatever the situation is, that you're not going to put it on me and saying I misunderstood. So they're going to ask the question over and over in different ways, in different forms, in different fashion. They're going to ask the same question over and over again. That's the customer I had. So yeah, this is 100% real.
Or the young person that doesn't understand their benefits, you gotta be like, okay, do I get dental? Yes, you get dental. Do I get dental? Yes, you get dental.
Is this considered part of dental?
Yeah.
No, that's a different question.
So,
that's a different question.
Yeah, because here's the deal, Tracy, because at one point you probably said, hey, you get medical. Now, what they heard was, and I'm just guessing, okay? I'm not saying this will happen. Now, what they're hearing is, I've been screwed on this question before. So are you telling me I get medical or dental? Or are you telling me I have medical, but I can't have dental, or I can have dental, but I can't have medical? So are you saying that I can have both, or either or?
But what I do is I say you have dental, and then I tell them what their dental benefits include. They'll come back to the same question. I'm like, what am I doing?
So this is slightly different than what I was answering. I was speaking specifically to this video.
To the video,
and this video was an older person dealing with technology that they weren't comfortable with, and are also on a budget and stuck in a loop as far as the question and answer. That, to me, signals cognitive decline.
Yes.
Right? It might be early stage, but it's still cognitive decline. They get stuck in a loop, and there you go. Now, what y'all are also talking about is like the customer, the call center experience. And I've worked in call centers as a phone rep, and I've also managed in the call center. And yeah, you get those people, but a lot of times, because I usually would get those, the difficult ones that other people couldn't really deal with. But I have a different approach. If I get someone like this, then the best way that I have found to hit it off, unless there's somebody who's just lonely, because sometimes you get lonely people.
True.
Right? And they're just going to be on the phone, and ain't nothing you can do.
Yep.
Right?
Sit back, get you some snacks and something to
just
drink.
be pleasant and patient, because you're going to be here for a minute, and appreciate the fact that you ain't having to answer more calls. Right? But then you have the other things, like with someone like this, or like what y'all were just describing with like the dental or whatnot. What I would try to teach my team is you go through your normal flow. But once you realize you're dealing with someone kind of like this who just doesn't understand, pause and ask them, okay, so are you comfortable with how dental works? And they will answer yes or no. Turn into an educational conversation. That will put you back in control of the phone call, and also keep you from doing the thing where, okay, what deductible do you want? What will happen if I do 500? This. Well, what will happen if I do 200?
This.
This. Okay, can you go back to 500? Right? You don't want to. We've all been on those calls, and those, whoo, good gracious.
Test your patience.
Right? So that's where you shift how you talk to people. And you say, okay, so we're going to go through your deductible options now. Are you comfortable with how deductibles work? Can you explain to me what you know of it? Right? There's just different styles. There's different approaches and different styles that you got to put in, given the situation you're dealing with. But if you're dealing with someone like this older lady, him losing his temper is completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable.
He didn't have to go down with her like that.
Yeah, but it is frustrating once you realize you're in the loop, because you can't get out. So not easily, you can't get out.
And I'm not saying anything wrong with your way, Theas, but I sort of take a different approach to it. And my different approach is answer the question. I mean, it's just that simple. Especially when it comes to call centers. And granted, I was a little spoiled. I just so happened to be with the call centers who didn't care how long you was on the phone. Compared to call centers who I always found was just really toxic that you could only be on the phone for a certain amount of time with a certain amount of customers, and it like, yeah, come on, I'm helping you, dude, and you're just trying. But yeah, Anna, there were call centers that will literally say that you could only be on a call with us.
2 minutes, and it take 3 minutes to verify.
Yeah,
Like, shut up,
you could
Tracy.
only be on
Shut
a
up,
call
money.
Shut up,
There's
Tracy.
money on these calls. We ain't there for charity. And I always blew those timelines. I always did.
Yeah.
Like my calls always run longer, but I also delivered a product such that you weren't gonna come to me and say much about it. But the vast majority of the people on that floor taking calls, you got to give them something. You got to tell them these calls need to be 3 minutes. You got 30 seconds and after call time, and you have to be in because they will abuse it and act like ain't money tied to this. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
People seem to think they should go to work and get paid just for showing up. No, you get paid for doing the job. You get paid for doing the job. You don't get paid just for being there. I go get somebody else who just wanted to be here. Come on.
How did you go?
Do the job. No, we were talking about the time limit thing.
Yeah, and my job is to sell product or to help customers, and sometimes it's going to take longer than your all of a sudden 3-minute rule.
Yes, but the reason why they say there's 3 minutes is because they have all the data, and they can sit there and say on average the call takes about 2 minutes, so you should be done in 3. Now you're going to be taking individual calls that sometimes take you 5, 6, 7, 10. That's fine. But if every single call is running 10 minutes long, then I need to get with you and figure out what is it in your sales flow. Are you controlling your call or are you being controlled by your call? See, there's more that goes into it. People just want to be able to show up and do what they want to do. And that's not business. It's just not. That's how you go out of business. So I agree that sometimes it's too onerous. That's why call center life sucks. But at the same time, man,
Yeah, I
people
should have been.
seem to think they got.
On a call. I was on a call for 1 hour with 1 hour.
Yeah, and odds are your supervisor remoted into that call to see what in the world was going on and realized that this was just what it is, and they just backed off, leave you alone. But if they get on the phone, because I had reps that would sit there and have long calls, I thought they were having long calls, and then I would QA their call, and it was dead air. just riding the phone.
But of course, I take provider calls, so provider calls are always longer than member calls.
True enough.
But I've had people cry on the phone. I had one person wanted to unalive herself. You talking about somebody that was scared. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm supposed to do, it happens, but
yep, it does. I've had those calls too.
Okay.
I believe this story. This is absolutely positively real.
Yeah, I think this is real too.
1,000,000%. I don't even doubt it. No doubts.
I have literally made an executive decision on the next episode of Friday Night Guys, whenever it is. I'm not going to have to look up videos, none of those things. The next Friday Night Guys that we have with it's just me and Theas is going to hash out business. Employee versus manager. And we're going to hash out all our errors. We're just going to
You're going to go back to that.
Again.
Like,
because you did that before.
No, we did. We
did you hard enough last time?
We did bullet points.
Okay.
This is
see, Anna, we don't never repeat. We be changing the subject. We be like, oh well, this time we talked about this, so this time we're gonna talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
You special.
Of course we are. Look at us. We're awesome.
You are awesome.
Yeah, I'm always good with it, man, because my thing is like I really truly believe that most of the issues that people run into is because we do not look at anyone else's experience or responsibility beyond our own. And because we only look at it from our one little lane, everything looks simple. Everything is very simple when you only look at it from your job description. Like from a supervisor, if you only look at it as being a supervisor, you think is a bunch of people who are slacking off. If from an employee standpoint, if you're only looking at it from the standpoint of the employee, you're like, well, everybody's always trying to tell me what to do. Like they don't think I know what I'm doing. From the ownership standpoint, they're looking at costs and expenses and revenues and time value. They're doing all that stuff. So they don't think anybody understands that. So because no one sits there and thinks the whole picture, they get in their little lane and they fight. Like, cool. I can talk on any of those levels. I've been at every single level. So I'm good. Roll with it. I love those conversations. It might help somebody out there.
I know. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be the same show, compared to, High Tops and Blue Jeans or whatever the name of the show is.
You know what, Anna? He gonna get he gonna mess around and find out. That's what he gonna do. Mess around and find out.
You about to get in trouble, Marlon, over there picking on flip flops and petticoats, and they gonna get you.
When have I ever got out of trouble?
But you go looking to get in trouble.
Fosse's videos of the week.
I just be trying to keep you safe, dog.
That's good. I'm married to Foxy. If I can survive her, I can survive anybody. Please.
How you gonna throw Foxy under the bus
I'm
like
about
that?
to say, I mean,
wow.
I mean, dang.
Foxy, we love you. We love
sure
you.
do.
Even though Marlon just
Marlon's just acting like he just don't even.
Wow.
If I can survive Foxy, I can survive anything in this world. Anything. Anything.
Okay. All right. Give me the warm and fuzziest. That was so sweet. So sweet.
She has a headset in, so she didn't hear me.
We'll tell her.
Of course you is, you little. Of course you would.
Don't worry, you ain't scared.
Yep, that's what you said.
You ain't scared.
But let's go ahead and go into what I'm cleaning out my stash of stuff that I've been holding for a while. So if it goes a little too fast for you, cool, I understand, and everything else, I'll replay it again. But this is first time ever on this show, a magic trick.
Okay, watch me hypnotize you. What word is this? Blue, good. And this one? Purple, amazing. And this one? Green, phenomenal. Now I want you to think of any sport at all. Keep it in your mind. Think of it really, really hard. Got it? Okay, good. Now I want you to take the second letter of that sport and think of any fruit that starts with that letter. Keep it in your mind. Double tap the screen to lock it in. Now I want you to take the last letter of that fruit that you're thinking of and think of any animal that starts with that letter. I know what you're thinking. Elephant. If I got that right, you gotta follow.
Because I couldn't think of a fruit that started with the letter F.
F?
Yeah, because I was thinking, he said, when he said, name your favorite sport, I said football. And I'm like, what fruit starts with the letter F?
Yeah, we said the second letter.
So you needed an O.
Yeah. Right, which
I
would then
actually had
stick you on
emu.
orange. I had emu too, but yeah.
Well, we tried. Dang on it. Wasn't our year again.
49ers lost.
Yeah, it looks like they green lose.
Oh, shucks.
16, 9 seconds left on the clock. So, yeah.
That's so sad.
Oh, I'll be so pissed. It's the kind of day I've been having.
But at least Usher had a good concert, apparently. So there's that.
Yeah, Parker has kept us in the loop of everything that was going on during the halftime show.
I'll just turn off my TV for a week, and it'll be okay. I'll prepare myself for the Olympics.
It's okay. Second place is first loser, but it's the best loser.
I don't feel. Okay, just to be quickly on this. There are certain teams I don't ever feel sorry for losing the Super Bowl when I realize there are some teams who've never been to the Super Bowl. There are some teams who've never won the Super Bowl. And we're talking about two teams that's neither one of those things too. So, sorry. I can't feel sorry for either one of these teams. That's why I wasn't that interested in the Super Bowl to begin with. Both of y'all have won Super Bowls. Both of y'all have been into multiple Super Bowls. Okay, great.
But you can't take away from the fact that they're dominant teams. I mean, it's not their fault that they perform well.
Dominant teams, but I'm just saying that I just don't feel any heartbreak. The only time I ever feel heartbreak is when a team who just made it to the Super Bowl and then they lose the Super Bowl, and I just feel sorry for them then. But not a team who's been there, done that.
Let's go
on to
I want the NFL to fail. I want the whole thing to go.
You'll be worried about that for the rest of your life.
I'm not worried about it. Just how I feel.
I want some more input.
Other people don't care. They're able to let it go. It's okay for them too.
Great. Can I go now?
Run your mouth while you want. Go ahead.
Okay.
I was quiet. Go.
I want more input on this next. I want more input on this next one because this is something I've held in here for the longest time, and it's on being a narcissist, but I think it's really something that we have been talking about on this show for the longest time, a different take on it. But here we go.
A narcissist wants to convince you that your reactions to their actions are the problem, when without their actions there would be no reactions. Narcissists do not have the ability to self-reflect. They cannot see anything wrong with what they do and they only see fault in your reaction. They believe every argument is caused by you because to them there was no problem with their actions until you reacted to them. They 100% believe you are the problem and they are the victim. It's mind-blowing.
The thing about glue is that it's sticky. And when glue is sticky and it gets on something, it tends to stick. Mind blowing.
For those who out there who have absolutely no idea about narcissism, we'll explain it to you that way compared to the people who literally has all knowledge of this subject. And apparently this is just the most benign thing that how could you possibly not know anything about this?
You mad at me? Because I ain't did nothing.
You literally saying like narcissism is the equivalent of 1 + 1 is 2. It's like
no, I was okay. I would say I gave my little quip to the thing, and then each person goes and they say their quip. That's all. Same thing I do every time. And as far as like my response is like glue is sticky and narcissists are self-absorbed. Okay, it's because we did a whole thing on it. Plus, it's a popular topic right now because we have Trump and whatever his issues are. So I'm sorry I didn't go into a clinical discussion on the merits of the young man speaking of narcissism.
Discussion, though. I was looking forward to it. So I'll start off first. So in layman's terms, narcissism, not people with narcissism, is not going to be upset with what they do. They're always going to be upset about how you react to it. And if you can understand that, then you already one step ahead. These are the same people who apology is, I'm sorry you took it that way. I'm sorry that you saw it that way. I'm sorry that you feel that way. Also keep in mind when it comes to narcissism and things like that is that doesn't mean because they acknowledge without acknowledging, because again, they've already said they're not acknowledging your feelings. What they're saying is, I heard what you're saying, and I'm going to acknowledge that I heard what you said. That doesn't mean I understand that what I said to you hurt your feelings, and or nor do I really care because I'm not going to change the way I am. Because second part of this whole thing, they're always going to feel that what they did to you is not that big of a deal than what you're making it out to be. You're making it bigger and worse than, and here, look at the air quotes, than what they intended it to be.
Narcissists have no healthy reference because they're always referencing it on themselves.
Right.
Whatever the situation is, they are the most perfect. You cannot do it like they do it. You will never live up to their expectations, though they will, and they will make you feel like crap because you can't go to these very unrealistic expectations. Learn Life says there's quite a difference between narcissistic personality style and narcissistic personality disorder. Correct.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I think
Everybody
you're
has
giving too much agency to what they're doing.
Everybody has a degree of narcissism. It is thinking about yourself. And it's whether you can uncenter yourself as the starting point of everything. You know, if you are constantly affecting your life negatively and others negatively, that goes into disorder. But yeah, there's a lot in this topic. It's hard to broaden it out.
I also think sometimes we assign more agency to people than is necessarily warranted because it helps us understand what's going on. So the fact that if you have a narcissistic personality or if you have a narcissistic personality disorder or whatever the clinical proper term that fits the moment, that is a behavioral or a mental situation, right? So there's a certain level of agency that may not even come into play here, right? They're reacting the way their brain is wired for them to react.
Right.
We assign certain levels of agency and intent to what they're doing because it's easier for us to process why this is happening, right? We're trying to make sense out of something that doesn't make sense. And that's where I think a lot of times things get twisted. I think that we focus on narcissism and sociopathic and all those things because they're let's just face it, they're more fun to talk about, but they're in the same. Yeah, they're more fun to talk about because you talk about this. Most a lot of CEOs display narcissistic personality behavior traits, and so there's like a thirst for power and control. And there's the fact that they look at the situation where they look at people as players in the movie. They're not actually the main characters. So like I'm a main character, you're just a bit part thing in it. So you're not really real to me. So I do what I do. Like that's more fun to talk about than talking about someone who's battling schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, body what is the term, dysmorphia, right? There's a lot of things that the brain can be going through, a lot of different things that we over time we've learned more about, but we focus on sociopaths and narcissists and psychopaths and all of them because there's a more fun story to talk about. Fun, that's serious, that's literally what we do. So that's what I was getting at. I'm not saying that it's a funny thing. I'm saying that we as a
No,
human
I'm
species or whatever, we gravitate to things that are more topical.
and learn life. What it was the other diagnosis? We were talking the other day about doctors are starting to wonder about the diagnostic being some kind of multiple personality disorder, if I'm remembering correctly. But they will hopefully come up with a comment soon.
Okay, if LL do see that, go ahead and answer that question. Every time you say multiple personality disorder, and you brought that up, you brought that up a while ago.
Borderline, sorry, not multiple, borderline personality.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. When you said multiple, the first movie that popped in my head was Sybil. That MPD should be reclassified as a subset of borderline personality disorder. MPD,
narcissistic.
Oh, N. She's the N.
And yeah, narcissistic personality disorder. Yeah.
Should be reclassified as a subtype of borderline personality.
Or subcategory.
I'll have to defer because that's not my area of specialty or
Yeah,
familiarity. I don't know all the levels in that.
Yeah, that's
Studying to get there, but haven't started classes yet. So.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be interesting when Tracy start going to class. But anyway, let's go ahead and go to the last two for tonight. I haven't shown stuff like this in a long time. You know, when people are just racist, but they come up with the most benign thing to use as racism. And I didn't know this, but even math is racism. Is racist.
Okay, quickly, so I misunderstand. Are we saying that 2 + 2, if you say it's 4, that's racist? I mean, that sounds like we may be mischaracterizing it. What, if you can quickly sum it up?
No, that's not mischaracterizing it at all. Math is basically racist under this ideology because it says there is no such thing as an objective reality. So 4 might not be the right number. 2 + 2 might actually equal 5.
What? This is this is an outlier. This is an outlier. Okay, let's be real. But this to me is what happens when we get so obsessed with trying to make everybody okay. We're making every point of view has value. Every interpretation of reality has a basis. Sometimes things, I mean, I would have her show me because she's got some kind of thought process that she's worked out where she's saying this, but I bet it's probably coming from a very paternalistic approach of trying to like basically negotiate downward, right? Kind of like in schools right now for young children, they're not really held accountable for not being able to spell. They can spell the word wrong all the time, right? And that's okay because Language is a fluid thing, and so long as they're getting better, then that's all that matters. And it's like, no, you're weakening the structure that they will need to be able to lean on as they get older. And in fact, they'll be punished for in just another 1 to 2 years from when you're doing this to them. So that's why I kind of get with her. I mean, look, some things we have to be willing to say from a societal or global. This is global. From a global standpoint, this is an established objective fact. I had one of these, and I got another one of these. And when I put them together, I got two of these. I don't have it 11 something, right?
You know, when political correctness goes too far, I'm sure this woman that said that math is education is racist. Okay, I could have bought that. I could have bought the housing system is racist. But math? 2 + 2 is 4. The Egyptians proved it. What is she talking? Oh my gosh, what is she talking about?
But nobody
she's debating the facts around the facts.
Yeah, there's nobody that's going to push back towards it because
it could
my
be
question,
5. No, it
my
couldn't.
question would have been to her. So if math is racist,
then aren't you racist?
Do
yeah,
with ethnicities? How does it?
Yeah, what's your agenda? What's your end goal? You know how I like to use end goal on everything. What's your end goal of saying if math is racist, then 1 + 1 = 2 could be incorrect because it could equal 4 because we're not thinking, I guess, outside of the box. So I have to ask, well, what's the end goal of that making math racist?
Yeah, that's
She
that's
does
it.
know the Egyptians invented math. Does she not know that?
That's also kind of irrelevant in a way, Tracy, because science changes over time. Understanding of science
math
changes over
doesn't.
time. Even our concept of time has changed, which is how we use math. And math has evolved over time. We've gone from 1 + 1s to doing Pythagorean theorems and quadratic equations, right? These things do change, but it's the application of math that can be racist. But what I would ask her is, who is it racist against? Like, draw that one out for me, because that if you're gonna claim something's racist, then it's got to have a target.
Right.
Who is math racist against, ma'am?
I just want to know math.
I want to know math too. My brain.
That's why saying words is words are racist. No, words can be used for racist effect, but words are not racist.
Remember when Breonna Joy Gray interviewed that woman that didn't know that she kept asking, she said, I wrote a book about woke and didn't know the definition of woke.
Yeah.
That's her. That's her.
This is gonna be a gotcha moment.
No,
yes.
I do not remember
yes,
that
it
at
is.
all.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
Oh my gosh.
What Parker said. Remember hearing the news story years ago about a teacher getting fired or something for having a math test that included something related to slave trade.
Yes, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember that.
I don't remember that.
It was like a worksheet. They were talking about like these kids, how much money was from picking cotton and that
like
type
if
of
3
thing.
people could pick this much cotton and then this many people. Yep, I sure do remember that.
Oh my.
So the application of this was being used to push a racial situation, but the math isn't racist. There's a story around it that's racist, which you put
you
into
want to
it.
argue
And,
English literature is racist? That's a better discussion to have.
and the thing about that, even that math exercise, like, and there were the other ones. There were other stories where like they would separate the class, and the black students had to be slaves, and the white students had to, those things. This in the last few years. So
I remember
all
that
of that,
story. Yeah,
right.
Them teachers don't want jobs. They don't want jobs to do that.
They want freedom to be able to do it. is what they want.
Yeah, let me
But
take all the little black children and put them over here and make them slaves, and all the white children. This is 2024.
When did it happen? 2022 years? It wasn't even that long ago, was it?
It wasn't that long ago. And then I remember we were talking about, I don't know if it was we were talking about it, but I know I had the conversation, and it was definitely happening on social media, where we were looking back at our childhoods and being taken, I didn't go, but being taken to the field, and you would go out to the field and pick fruits and pick cotton and pick stuff like that. It was like it was like class trips that they would take you on. And this really happens out in the sticks. It never happened to me. But these things happen, or I still feel that this one's not racist. This is racial, right? Which
But
there's a
she's
distinction.
making a point that don't even make no sense.
Yeah, her point, I don't understand what she's talking about.
I mean,
I'm talking about why is it even to this day, little kids are told that it's in elementary school that they all gotta go square dancing.
What?
Why is that still happening?
Wait a minute now. Don't be knocking square dancing. Now look.
I'm knocking square dancing because
that's the only dance I know how to do. That's the only
square dancing is
I
just
know how to do.
the most basic of line dancing.
That's
but
exactly
what my point is, they don't have every little kid in the first or second grade, because that's usually in the age range that they do this. They're not all going out there learning a Tibetan dance. They're not going out there learning a dance out of China or Singapore. They are taught square dancing. It's part of that indoctrination propaganda mess that we were talking about before. Like you're making this thing normative. This thing.
Well, we have
all this stuff out here, but we chose this.
We have to be honest, though, Theos. And I'm going to leave it at the fact that they didn't want to learn anyway. But okay, we're just going to leave it at they didn't want to learn. Why would they teach you square dancing compared to an African dance? Because you were probably brought up on square dancing. You know all the steps of square dancing. So I'm going to teach you square dancing. I have to teach myself to teach you how to do African dances. And I'm not going to put in that effort.
No, it's mostly what you just said, which is they have a nostalgic feeling towards it, and it's a positive feeling in their heart. But the problem is you're making it compulsory for everybody else. Kind of like when you're telling everybody like they got to sit up there and pledge allegiance to the flag.
You know, that's something I never did.
I did. Ooh, I did it in elementary school.
You should see the looks I get at church. See, I go to one of them. Well, at least my family church is one of them churches that still has the American flag, the Christian flag, and every service they do a pledge allegiance to the American flag, pledge allegiance to the Christian flag, and pledge allegiance to the Bible. They don't understand that that's white supremacy, but whatever. Other than that, it's a great service. Go ahead.
Christian flag?
Yes, there is a Christian flag. We have a flag.
And it's a different pledge to each one. Yes.
Yes. And what's wild to me is like no one, like all these educated people in this church is uneducated and educated. There's a whole range of people in there. And I'm like, nobody, all y'all so stuck on tradition that nobody sat here and looked and said, wait a minute, when did this Christian flag, this design of this Christian flag come to be? Oh, during Jim Crow segregation. I mean,
I didn't have to deal with that. I didn't have to deal with that until I went to Bible camp. So anybody that shocked on that,
something else I didn't get to do.
Bible camp.
I used to go to vacation Bible school, but I never went on.
Yeah, I never went to Bible camp.
There's a Bible camp. I went to Bible camp like 3 or 4 years in a row.
How long was you gone each time? Like a week?
Yeah.
See, my parents didn't trust nobody with us, so we had to go home each and every day.
Oh, it went back to normal when I got back. Trust me.
No, but you went away. We couldn't go nowhere.
I was raised up.
Well, I'm glad your parents were like that. They were ahead of the curve.
I got a whole week away from my kid. Have fun, child.
Yeah, and a lot of kids got molested in those times.
Yeah. Well, I can say I don't know of anything like that.
No, I'm not saying every church. It's not all bad. That's the thing. It's not all bad. The problem is there's enough bad that, like, you can have, just make a number. You have 1,000 camps. One camp lets this thing happen or doesn't have control over this abuse of children. That means every last one of the children in that one camp have been damaged possibly for the rest of their lives. 999 great camps, but that one. And I would say that one is enough to shut them all down. If they know that there's a problem, they didn't go clean it up. Because you're still destroying lives.
Yep, I couldn't stay over my friend's house. Boy, I couldn't do nothing.
Oh, yeah. I got to have sleepovers and go to sleepovers, but I had friends who weren't allowed to do that.
Well,
I had friends
my
who weren't
mother
allowed
was
to
the
do
only people that could sleep over was my cousins.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I had a lot of friends like that.
Wow.
Which I understand is you're protecting your children.
My mother and father, they didn't play no game. We could hardly do nothing.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I don't agree or disagree with it. Like, as a parent, if you're doing it for the benefit of your child, that little bit of inconvenience, they get over it and they'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? But I get why it happens, because you do not want your child to be that child who gets home.
Right.
That's true.
That's, All right, everybody. 2 more videos to go through real quick. Just to have some levity to the thing. Do y'all remember Maury Povich? The one that used to do the whole "You're not the father," and the people will run because for some strange reason, I don't know. It's amazing.
Is this a TV thing?
Yes, it was a TV talk show.
It was a TV talk show.
Yeah, it was trash TV.
Okay.
Before reality TV really took
really
it from
trash
them.
TV. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a little spin on. Okay, Anna. The whole premise of Maury Povich, he literally started off as a
journalist, like an
a
actual
regular journalist.
Doing regular
straightforward and everything else.
Wasn't he the one married to Connie Chung?
He's married to Connie Chung.
Okay, I don't know they married us.
Well, I'm not saying that.
I couldn't remember which person was, that couple. I knew there was.
He was a regular journalist. Then he got a TV show, and the TV show, talk show, wasn't really kicking off the way he thought it would be. So he went the trash route. So you have people that would come on the show and do a paternity test, which 9 out of 10 do, daggone well, that's not your child. So why are we going to this? And it blew up. So the premise of such and such, the paternity test says you are not the father. And the person will run to the back of the stage, lay on the couch, and have a fit like they're really shocked that you know damn well that wasn't that dude's child or whatever.
Watch this for entertainment?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
People rearranged their class schedules on campus so that they could see the shows. Because it was Maury, Jerry, and
Jerry Springer,
somebody else.
I know that name. I never saw these.
Who's the guy who used to go on there smoking a cigarette on stage? Because he literally started the whole thing.
I know who you're talking about, and I can see his face, but I cannot call his name.
Morton Downey Jr.
Yeah, that's his name.
He started the whole
thing.
About that. Yeah. Don't waste your
time. Well, I ain't going to get into the Al Sharpton story.
But anyway, this is just a parody of that show.
When it comes to 1-year-old Isaiah, Amir, you are not the father.
Anna, That's exactly what it
Look
looks
at
like.
cute puppies.
Yes, but
That's
imagine those puppies
exactly what it
is
looked
a
like.
heavy set black woman running off the stage, somebody, and then fall on the ground crying.
While
But
the
that's exactly what it
man
looks like.
is sitting on the stage saying, "I told you."
Yeah, I told you, I'm not your father. Then high five in the audience.
No, it was trash. Trust me. It was
Okay.
really bad.
Bet the dogs were cute, but that wasn't.
All right, everybody. Last video of the night. Thank you for all who stayed to watch. Thanks the panel for hanging with me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I couldn't name this anything other than "fuck you," because that's the only name that I could come up with. Yes.
They was on the floor.
Fuck you. I looked at that video and went, I feel so bad. I'm so out of shape. And then I looked, you just roll it off the floor. Fuck you.
I don't even know, even if I'm on the floor, I could have moved that smoothly. So I still got to give him some props.
If you could have got
that was.
I ain't gonna lie to you though, because it was an L. She got up there with an L, so I was like, I wonder could I even do that? Probably not. And unfortunately, every time I keep saying I'm gonna get better and better, and then
Talking about, man, we were doing good.
What was the second word?
Work?
What you
talking? Me and Theus was doing push-up. Me and Theus was doing push-up challenges, and we got all the way up to 60.
60 a day.
60 a day.
Wow, good for you.
I'm going back to it. Since we started at 10. No. Started at 25. 25 or 20, something like that, yeah.
Start off at 25 and we got to 60.
Full push-ups.
Throughout the day, you come
Full
up with a
body.
number.
Like,
yeah, you come up with a number.
Army push-ups or girl push-ups?
Traditional push-ups.
No, girls have our push. We have our
full,
push-ups.
full body. Yeah. The girls.
Okay, that means full body. Okay, you know.
Yes.
I'm starting back Monday.
That's tomorrow.
Yes, I know. That's tomorrow.
Okay, just want to make
Start
sure.
back tomorrow. Are we gonna stick to 60?
That's fine with me.
Well, the season's over.
No more football for a while. Thank you. There'll be less children dealing with concussions for just a little while.
Yeah, game over. Game over. Chiefs win. It's over.
Now the Chiefs, is that Taylor Swift's team?
Yeah, that's Taylor Swift team.
Oh, okay. But we ain't never gonna hear the end of this. Yeah. So, our United Core. Follow me on Facebook, and there's also an Instagram and a TikTok, but ain't nothing there. So follow me on Facebook. Yeah.
Spotify. Please follow his podcast.
Oh yeah. Podcast on Spotify, the Our United Core podcast, and also you can now email me if you need to at info@ourunitedcore.com.
Cool. Nice.
If you're interested in membership, shoot me a message either there or at membership@ourunitedcore.com.
Okay. I will do that. I am at BoreliaEtc.com. all the places, Burley, etc.
Tracy?
I'm devastated.
You can't find her nowhere. Her team lost.
It's on the screen.
Oh, by the way, Tracy, you need to change your plate on here.
My
it's
what?
Not media. It's not Tracy Media LLC.
That's my website.
Oh, okay. You said on the website.
.com. Yeah.
That's my
Okay,
website.
you can find Tracy at TracyMediaLLC.com. She's a little devastated to actually give out, information that's way more important than what she's devastated about. So, you can find me here every Saturday and Sunday, except for the last week of the month. I was on TikTok and then I just fell off. But apparently that's not even bothering anybody because we have had a 800% rise from last month on viewership.
Wow. Hey, y'all. Thank you for coming to see us. We appreciate that.
850% viewership build up around the same time last month. So I appreciate everybody who's shown up and showed out to even subscribe to the show. I really truly appreciate it. I thrive to be the best at giving you correct information, even if it's from our point of view. So, for Thea, I'm so tired, I'm messing up. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, non-conforming individuals, and of course,
I'm assuming you're LGBTQ until you.
I appreciate Theas, I appreciate Anna, I appreciate Tracy, I appreciate the Kansas City Chiefs, and until next time, we will see you when we see you. Peace.
You gonna pay for that one.
Moment of silence for San Francisco 49ers. And all right, we're done. Let's go.